So, Jim, I have a serious question here. A lot of people seem to think, and I should say anarchists in general, they believe that libertarianism is just a stepping stone. You know, we'll downsize the government, and then once we have our feet in the door, we'll completely disband the government, and then we won't have any government whatsoever. What's your take on that?
That's crazy.
Yeah, thank you.
That's simply flat out crazy.
Thank you.
I mean, the founding fathers were brilliant. They're brilliant. And if you want to look and see what federal government should be involved with, look at Article 1, Section 8. I mean, it just was flat on the money. And if you don't like it, well then, you can amend the Constitution. But there is still, shocking as this might sound, the 9th and 10th Amendments still are in the Bill of Rights. They're still in the Constitution. And what did it say? Again, brilliantly, okay, we have delegated certain rights, we the people, delegated certain rights to the government, certain powers, and that is to put in a military. Look at Article 1, Section 8. Put in a military, actually put in a post office, which I might dispute, but put in post roads, put in a judiciary, that sort of currency. Well, I might dispute that as well, but it's there. In the meantime, any power that we hereby do not delegate in Article 1, Section 8 to the federal government stays with who? The people and the states. And that's where we should be. If somebody were to take a gun and rob a local mini-mart, I'm not saying that's not important. I'm not saying that's not serious, but it's not a federal issue. It's a state issue. The states are able to address serious issues. The states are able to decide whether they want to have marijuana prohibition or drug prohibition or not. As Gary Johnson says, we have 50 crucibles of democracy, all out there able to try different things. And if some of them work, we will find enormous success stories that can be copied and emulated. And yes, we'll find some occasional failures that can then be avoided. But as I ask in our Kiwanis clubs and Rotary clubs when I go out talking, how many people here feel that the federal government has all the answers? I get chuckles, but I never get any hands raised. So let's allow the states of New Hampshire or Nebraska or North Carolina to come out with a drug policy. And they're fully able to decide how best to serve and protect their people. Maybe they'll be good in some and not good in others. We can learn from each other's experience. So
sure.
But no one is proposing to do away with, to do away with the federal government. The answer is no, of course not. But let's go back to what the Founding Fathers said. They were brilliant. So one way or the other, they put it together, and we should learn again from their teachings.
That was like the best answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Seriously. That felt good.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, a more reasonable solution.
Oh man, I'm glad that was the answer because a lot of people are under this impression that libertarianism is the same as anarchism, zero government, and which is completely delusional.
We libertarians have made a big mistake, and that is we've allowed other people to define us. And we have that problem in the campaign, and there are people out there, but we tell folks, look, we are classic liberals. We are classic. When it comes time to our liberties, I am a flaming liberal. And that's a direct quote from Gary Johnson. When it comes to looking at whether the government should look at our bank accounts without a search warrant, without a warrant based on probable cause signed by a judge, or looking at our phone records, or looking at our email accounts, or surveilling us, with drones overhead, or whatever, I am a flaming liberal, and the answer is no. People do not realize that. That we libertarians are classic liberals. We're also classic conservatives. We really do believe in financial responsibility at all levels of society. Look, I was a federal prosecutor before I was done, I was in charge of a unit to prosecute frauds against the government, against the FHA, the VA, etc. I prosecuted a lot of bank vice presidents. I believe in responsibility at all levels of society. And that starts with government. It starts with me. It starts with Gary Johnson, and it works all the way down. So at all levels, people should be responsible for what they do. Not what they put into their bodies, by the way. That is none of the government's business, but what their actions are. And that's what the criminal justice system is good at. That's what we stand for. Yes, libertarians stand for freedom and liberties. But that means, as all libertarians know, it goes hand in hand with taking responsibility for your actions. That's what we need to get out there to the world. So I'm proud to be a libertarian. I will be the rest of my life, but we have allowed others to define us, and you, particularly in the social media, can do better at getting this word out that, no, we believe in responsibility and as well as our freedoms. Very cool.
So do you have any thoughts on this cryptocurrency, this whole blockchain, Bitcoin technology?
Well, I believe in Krugerrands. There is no reason why, in a lot of ways, the government should be involved with currency.
Yes.
Look, when I was in college, I graduated from UCLA in 1966. I could buy 3 gallons of gasoline for $1. That's what the cost was. I can still, today, 2014, buy 3 gallons of gasoline for $1, as long as it's a silver dollar. So the cost of gasoline has not increased. It's inflation. It's government being involved in the economy that's caused these problems. So if you come back to a Bitcoin, or as I say, Krugerrands, where you have a currency getting off the gold standard. I mean, Richard Nixon got us off the gold. What a mistake. Yep. What just a huge mistake. He also caused the war on drugs to ratchet it up again. Another enormous mistake. Put us on wage and price controls. That's, by the way, what got us involved in having companies having to buy health insurance for people. I mean, they really shouldn't have to. It's none of the company's business. All of that sort of stuff. So anytime the government keeps tinkering in the marketplace, it causes problems. Ask FDR. That set us on the road for being hugely involved in depressions, recessions, inflation, all the rest of this. That's not to say that the free market is perfect. We do need regulations. We do need to have antitrust laws, in my view, and have some form of regulations, and certainly truth in advertising and enforcement of warranties, that sort of thing. But the government getting involved in all of this stuff has caused enormous problems. Get back to the gold standard, and you'll be able to thrive.
Yep. Well, I particularly like this Bitcoin because it's a way to. It's another form of competition against the Federal Reserve. Yeah.
Sure.
At the moment,
and they're scared of it.
Yeah.
They're scared of it. As I sit here, I still don't understand Bitcoin. I really don't know what's backing it up. But as long as people think it does.
The only people who could originally accumulate coins were the actual miners, all the hackers and nerds at the computers, and you couldn't have the government doing that at first. So it's kind of like a safety net that way. But it's still only a $3 billion market. So I and a lot of other people who are trading in Bitcoin do have this fear that the government, through the Federal Reserve or whatever, is slowly accumulating coins to try to gain control.
Yeah, I understand the concept, and I approve of the concept. I'm not a techie, and I couldn't sit down and explain to you why Bitcoins work. But bless you.
I just hope it stays strong and doesn't get regulated. I think once the government gets involved in regulation, that's when it's lost.
Well, I think I've made plain my view on that, at least.
Yeah. A lot of people fear that, it needs to be regulated. A lot of Bitcoin people actually want it to be regulated because they want people to trust it. They don't want another Mt. Gox exchange from shutting down, and, a lot of people lose all their money in Bitcoin.
Well, I know what Ponzi schemes are, and I'm afraid of them. So, okay.
Yeah, I get that, but I still think it's like, you got your pros and cons, and the pros outweigh the cons. I think that we do need to take on the risk and keep it unregulated, just for that simple fact that I just don't trust the Fed at all. They're going to corrupt it.
You sure convinced me.
Yeah, they are going to corrupt it. I don't. Good. So yeah. Wow, the future. Yeah, that whole blockchain is so promising. I'm just not 100% sure if Bitcoin is going to be the answer. The blockchain is, though. That's a great technology. It could definitely revolutionize money. But wow. Chris, Michael, any more questions? I'm tapped.
Yeah, we're almost to the end of the show anyway. We only got 8 more minutes. So I guess we're running out of time anyway. But
Judge, what is your? Can you say what your website is again for the viewers?
Well, yes. First of all, ouramericainitiative.org, and that is where Governor Johnson and I are standing up for liberty and trying to get the word out to people in universities and the younger people, because we stand for them. My website is judgejimgray.com, and if people would like to contact me, they can do it through my website. Gray is Gray, so it's judgejimgray.com, and you can contact me, and I respond to you. Be patient. I get a lot of emails, but I will respond. And if you're interested, I wrote this book, Why Our Drug Laws Have Failed and What We Can Do About It, a judicial indictment of the war on drugs. And I'm proud of it. There's a second edition out from 2012 where it was endorsed. And talk about a hero of mine is Milton Friedman, and he endorsed my book. I thought if he'd even read something I write was something beyond my imagination, but he endorsed it. George Shultz, Secretary of State under Reagan, endorsed it. Walter Cronkite endorsed it. Gary Johnson, while he was governor of New Mexico, endorsed it. So I'm real proud of that, and it is a statement that people are using. They're using it in universities and just to push a discussion, an open and honest discussion on this biggest failure in public policy in the United States of America, which is drug prohibition. The biggest failure is second only to slavery. So I'm trying to use that. I've written actually a book on judging called Wearing the Robe, and if people are interested in becoming a judge or what a judge does, it's available through Amazon.com, and I'm proud of that as well. And finally, I've had some time on my hands. I've written a musical called Americans All, which talks about, it's meant for high school kids to focus on making good decisions. You're responsible for the decisions you make. Whether drugs are legal or illegal is irrelevant as far as your body is concerned. You treat your body well, it'll treat you well. And if you treat it poorly, whether drugs are legal or illegal, it'll treat you accordingly. So you're responsible for the decisions you make. Stay in school. Enjoy your life when you have it. We're here for a short time. Just try to maximize the gratification that you can from living in the greatest country that the world has ever seen, and I believe that. And yes, we've made our mistakes, and yes, we could do better, but it still is a great country. It has enormous promise. It's fulfilled that promise in numbers of different ways. I am blessed to be able to be a citizen of the United States of America. I was in the Peace Corps. I think I'm still in the Peace Corps. We can help other people, not because we have to, not because the government decrees it, but because we as a people want to. That's who we are. And when it comes down to it, the best thing a person can do, is take responsibility for his or her own actions. And the second group that's responsible for you is your family. And then get the government out of the way, allow private foundations, religious organizations to step forward, because every time the government steps forward with various supposed remedies, the private institutions take a step back. But when it comes down to it, the government is the last resort instead of the first resort. But no one is going to starve to death. No one is going to bleed to death in the streets if a libertarian is in office, not because we have to, because we don't, but because we want to, because that's the people we are. So I have evolved into being a libertarian. I was a lifelong Republican until the passage of the so-called Patriot Act, which absolutely did me in. You know, this is a direct, fundamental attack on our civil liberties, and that is the soul of our country. And if you think about it, people around the world still love America, and they still love Americans. They may not be all that excited about our government, and then again, neither am I a lot of the times, but they really love America. Why? Why do they care about America? What sets us apart? And the answer is the very soul of our country is our freedoms and our liberties. And today our very soul is under attack by our very own government. And Ronald Reagan, who had his own problems in a lot of ways, but was right in saying that we simply must be vigilant about protecting our liberties. And we're not. And we're giving it away in this so-called war on terrorism, you know, and you can come back to Ben Franklin, who I really appreciated, who said any society that tries to give away some of its liberties to get a little extra freedom, get a little extra security, deserves neither. And that's the position we're in today with regard to this so-called war on terrorism. You cannot declare war against an idea. You cannot declare war against some renegades who are out there that are loosely gathered together, and give up our liberties, because when we give up our liberties, they win. Osama bin Laden is winning every time we give up our liberties on our Fourth Amendment and our First Amendment and the rest of this sort of stuff. We become like them. So we have to be adult, we have to be sophisticated, we have to stand up with resolve and support our liberties, which make us free, which make us special. And we are giving those things up. Libertarians stand up for liberty. That's in our name. They also stand up for responsibility. It's been nice to be with you guys. We'll do it again. And again, try to encourage Governor Gary Johnson to run for president.
Yes.
Well
said, by the way. Yes. Very well said. Thank you for this.
Okay. You're welcome. Good luck to us all.
Take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Good luck. Yeah.